shows up. Okay.
I agree.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's the regular meeting of the Brockton Housing Authority. I would like to welcome you. I'm sure everybody has an agenda, Tom.
Yes.
I am Commissioner Timothy J. Sullivan, the chairman. We also have Commissioner Ernest Pettiford, vice chairman. Commissioner Janet R. Trask, member. Commissioner David Texera, treasurer. Commissioner Carol Roberts, assistant treasurer. All are present at the moment except for Janet Trask. We are
I'm
waiting-
here. I'm on the phone.
We all are here, including Janet Trask. I have two paragraphs that I have to read. One is for the state and one is for the city. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and state of emergency, on March 12, 2020, Governor Baker issued an executive order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 20. Pursuant to the order, public bodies are temporarily relieved from open meeting law requirements that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure proper public access to the body's deliberations through adequate and alternative means. The second one is from the city. The Brockton Housing Authority will meet virtually today on Thursday, June 25th, 2020 at 2 p.m. Due to social distancing guidelines related to COVID-19 state of emergency, this meeting will be held remotely, not at the Brockton Housing Authority's offices. The public is invited to view and/or listen to the meeting via phone, computer, laptop, or tablet. To do so, download the Zoom Cloud Meeting app in the App Store or at www.zoom.us. At 2:00 p.m. on June 25th, 2020, click on and join the meeting and enter meeting ID 846-4900-8376 or use the link http://i/846-4900-8376. You may also join by calling conference line at 1-646-558-8656 at 2 p.m. on June 25th, 2020, and enter the passcode 846-490-08376, followed by the pound sign. The board chair will instruct participants on the appropriate time and manner for public comment during this meeting. And we need a roll call to accept the new open meeting laws.
Commissioner Roberts,
Here.
Commissioner Texera,
Here.
Commissioner Trask,
Here.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. And we also need a roll call, Mr. Tebow, to establish a quorum.
Okay. One more time, Commissioner Roberts,
Here.
Commissioner Texera,
Here.
Commissioner Trask,
Here.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. If we could all rise for a pledge of allegiance.
I wish I could turn
Pledge
my,
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
To
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
justice for all. Okay.
We can all remain standing. I am asking for a moment of silence for the 10-year-old child that passed away this past Sunday at the Bel Air Towers. Accidentally. Thank you.
Okay.
This is a regular roll call, Mr. Tebow.
Commissioner Roberts,
Here.
Commissioner Texera,
Here.
Commissioner Trask,
Here?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
and Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Item 2, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 28, 2020. Item A in your packets. Mr. Tebow.
I have reviewed the minutes and I found them to be in order. I would recommend that they be approved as written.
This is just a reminder for everybody. We have to do a roll call on every single item. That's part of the state law. We need a motion from anybody on item 2.
Motion to approve the minute of the regular meeting of May 28, 2020 as written.
Second it.
A motion has been made by Commissioner David Texera, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. Motion is to approve the minutes as written. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
I need a roll call, Mr. Tebow, sorry.
Yeah.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
and Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Item 3, hearing of visitors. Any member of the public is invited to speak before the board at this time. All visitors will be allowed 3 minutes to speak on each subject. The board will take any issue under advisement and respond at a later date. Total time for hearing of visitors will be limited to 15 minutes. Are there any hearing of visitors?
Is there anybody here? There are no visitors, Mr. Chairman.
Hearing none. Item 4, correspondence. Mr. Tebow.
There were no correspondence in this packet.
No correspondence. Item 5, approval of the bills for the regular meeting of June 25th, 2020. Item B in your packets. Commissioner Texera.
Commissioner Roberts actually reviewed bills yesterday with me. And she-
Commissioner Robertson.
Yes. I did. There were a couple there that Tom had explained what they were, and I had no problem with that after they were explained. You like to go over them?
No, you don't have to, but we need a
Okay.
motion from you on item 5.
Okay. A motion to approve the bills for the regular meeting on June 25th, 2020 as presented.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner David Texera. The motion is to approve the bills of the regular meeting of June 25th, 2020 as presented. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford. It looks like Mr. Pettiford might have dropped off. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so it should be noted that, again, this is as if we were in a meeting and he excused himself and left the room for a moment. Hopefully he will come back in.
Okay. The motion still carries. It's not unanimous, but it still carries. 4 and 1 abstained.
Yeah.
Item 6, approval of certificate of substantial completion, elevator modernization, Crosby Gardens, Crosby Gardens Project 667-4, Exhibit C in your packet. Mr. Tebow.
It looks like Commissioner Pettifat has come back into the meeting, correct, Commissioner Pettifat?
Yes, I got cut off. I'm in there now.
Okay, great, thank you. If I could ask Mr. Barry to speak on this?
Good afternoon. Yes, back on January 6th of 2020, Susquehanna Group, the engineering firm representing the authority, deemed Buckley Elevators, the elevator contractor performing the work at Crosby Gardens, to be substantially complete on the project. I would recommend a motion to accept the certificate of substantial completion for Buckley Elevator of 27 Congress Street, Salem, Mass, as of January 6, 2020, for the elevator modernization at 667-4 Crosby Gardens.
We need a motion, item 6.
I make a motion to accept the certificate of substantial completion for Buckley Elevator of 27 Congress Street, Salem, Mass, as of January 6, 2020, for the elevator modernization at 667-4 Crosby Garden, FISH number 044076.
You got it.
And a second.
Second.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Janet Trask, seconded by Commissioner Carol Roberts. Motion is to approve the certificate of substantial completion to the contract with Buckley Elevator of Salem, Mass, for the elevator modernization at Crosby Gardens, Project 667-4, effective January 6, 2020. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettifat, Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Susan, can we go back to item 5 and have Ernie vote on that while he's back?
We already noted that he left the meeting and came back to the meeting, so that he doesn't have it.
Okay,
It's just 4-0. It will be 4-0.
okay. Item 7, approval of partial release of retainage, elevator modernization, Crosby Gardens, Project 667-4, Exhibit D in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
Again, if I could have Mr. Barry speak on this, please.
Again, if we could, per the contract of June 26, 2019, Buckley Elevators requested a partial release of retainage in the amount of $6,929. Balance of his contract is still at $4,000, which is being held until the final inspection by the engineer on site. The final inspection had not been completed yet because of the COVID restrictions. It's also the reason why he's actually requesting release of retainage. Typically, we would have been done and out of here with this project, but with the COVID, it's restrictions on us, we have not been able to get in here. I would recommend a motion to accept the certificate for partial release of retainage from Buckley Elevator in the amount of $6,929 for the above-mentioned project.
Just one question, Chris.
Yep.
Is that work almost done or just about done?
The work's been done, actually. If you look back at your, the substantial completion date of January 6th, is basically, we had already had an inspection on it. All the work has been done and completed. They just never got back there in time to do the punch list or inspection of the elevator in time before COVID came in and shut us down. That's
The elevator's working?
the elevator's been working, yep. Been up and running.
Good, good.
Pardon me?
It was Janet. She said good.
Okay.
We need a motion, item 7, from anybody?
I make a motion to approve the certificate of partial release or retainage in the amount of $6,929 to the contract with Buckley elevator, and salary building, Mass. For the elevation modification at Cosby Gardens, project 667-4.
And a second?
Roll call.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford, seconded by Commissioner Janice Trask. The motion is to approve the certificate of partial release of retainage in the amount of $6,929 to the contract with Buckley Elevator of Salem, Mass. for the elevator modernization at Crosby Gardens, project 667-4. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
and Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Item 8, appointment of leased housing administrator, Exhibit E in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
If I could ask Mr. Plouffe to speak on this, and then I'll say a couple words.
Thank you, Mr. Tebow. Members of the board, with the retirement of Margaret Pauline, there was a vacancy in the leadership in the Section 8 department. You all know from how many times we come before you with the Section 8 department, how busy a department that is. And so we posted for that opening. We had 2 internal applicants. We set up an interview committee of myself, Tramita Rose, Director of Admissions, and Mr. Tebow. We reviewed the resumes. We did a Zoom interview with each candidate because of the COVID. After reviewing everything, we came to unanimous consensus that Ms. Bonney was the right person to fill the position and for us to recommend to the board. She has worked for the Housing Authority since 2009. Before that, working at City Hall in the elections office. She has been the office manager, which was the #2 position for the last 5 years. She does a great job. She works very, very hard. Has a great way about her with our clientele. If we have an exceptionally difficult or intellectually or emotionally challenged client, those are the ones that Chris gets. And she works so well with that clientele. This is going to be a different challenge for her being the administrator, but I know she's up to the challenge. When COVID was first hitting and we needed notices translated for our doors, for our clients and residents, I asked Chris, and she asked her staff, and within a couple hours, we had notices for every door at the Housing Authority in Portuguese, Cape Verdean Creole, French, Haitian Creole, and Spanish. So I can't recommend Chris more highly. And she's right here because she's going to be presenting the next item. Chris is.
If I could just follow up on that. I've said to the board what I look for in employees is 2 things. One is character and the other is work ethic. A lot of times you could say that's one thing because if you're a good character, you usually have good work ethic. But Chris is, Miss Bonnie is the epitome of both. In her professional life, in her private life, she is a valued member of the Housing Authority and a community. So I'd like to be associated with a person of her character, and her work ethic is second to none. She works very hard and has overcome a lot of obstacles to get where she is, raised a beautiful family. And if you remember when the pipe broke down at Campello and we needed someone who spoke Haitian, Chris left her mass, her church, and came down and tried to help out at the time. But I think she's a
I
wonderful,
remember that.
wonderful person for leadership at the authority.
Chris, Bonnie, I know you're there.
Yeah,
The camera's so far away, I can't tell which one is you.
I'm right here.
I see you. Okay. Thank you. It's not, the camera is so far away. Maybe it's my eyes. I couldn't tell who you are.
Okay.
We need a motion, item 8, from anybody?
It is with pleasure I make a motion to appoint Chris Lane Bonney of Brockton, Mass. To the position of Leased Housing Administrator effective June 29, 2020, at the 2019 annual rate of $62,508, period.
Second,
Who seconded that?
second, Ernie.
Ernie?
Ernie.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Janet Trask, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. Motion is to appoint Christine Bonney of Brockton, Mass. To the position of Leased Housing Administrator effective June 29, 2020, at the 2019 annual rate of $62,508. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
and Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. That motion is unanimous. Motion carries. Welcome aboard, Chris Bonney.
Thank you so much. It is truly an honor to be under this capacity. I'm really honored to be working with the Brockton Housing Authority. And I thank you for this appointment. And thank you, Mr. Blue. Thank you, Mr. Tebow, for entrusting in me with this position. And a special thank you to Trinita for helping me along the way. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
We'll ask you how thankful you are in a year.
Chris, normally we tell all the new people when they come on that our tenants are number one. I know we don't have to tell you that, but I'm going to tell you anyway. We put our tenants all number one. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I know they are number one. They've always been number one in my book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Item 9, approval of 2020 utility allowance schedule, Exhibit F in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
Well, and our first official, I guess it's not official because it doesn't start until Monday, Chris, but your first official act at a board meeting, you will present the utility allowance.
Yes. This is the utility allowance chart we will adopt for September 2020. It is required under hard regulations. The PHA must review its schedule of utility allowances each year and must revise the schedule if there has been a change of 10% or more. Tenants are giving an allowance to determine the family's share and the PHA subsidy. The preparation of the schedule was conducted by an independent company based upon utilization patterns of each utility service by tapping utility and current utility rates.
Yeah.
If I could add on just a little bit. So what Chris said is that we're required to review the utility allowance, which is a amount that our clients receive to help them with their utilities. We have to review it every year. We hire the Old Colony Planning Council to do a survey. They provide us a report. We compare that to last year's. If it changes by more than a certain percent, HUD says we have to adopt a new, and that's what Chris has prepared for you today.
Very good.
We need a motion, item 10.
A motion to approve the 2020 utility allowance schedule as presented, effective September 1st, 2020.
Second.
A motion's been made by Commissioner David Texera, seconded by Commissioner Janet Trask. Let me see. The motion is to approve the 2020 utility allowance schedule as presented, effective September 1, 2020. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Item 10, review of financial comparatives, Exhibit G in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
If I could ask Mr. Patriots to let us know how we're doing financially.
So you should have the April 30th comparatives in your board packet. Basically, all the programs are running on a surplus, with the exception of the state programs. But Mr. Tebow and our fee accountant are working with the state in order to get additional funding to close the deficit gap on that. So.
If I could speak on that, so we've had several conversations with representatives from the Department of Housing and Community Development. We have a structural deficit in our state program. We do not get enough funding to maintain our units in accordance with the state sanitary code. And so the decision is whether we do what the state has done in the past, which is board units up, take them offline, or to spend the money and then look for it for the state. We have decided to spend the money. The state, the representatives of DHCD are very supportive of that and are working with us to get us additional funds. But it's going to be tough. Yesterday, I was informed by Mr. DeChristopher that a boiler went at Kroll Street. The expense will be between $7,000 and $8,000 there. That's a huge expense in our state program. In our federal program, that would not be a significant expense. So I notified the state of that, but we're working closely with them. It'll be, again, it's a very cordial conversation. They understand. They said we're not unique in this, especially for a housing authority in a city in the age of our development. So it is important. I did mention it in my executive director's report, but I wanted to speak on it here. I think we've identified a couple $100,000 or about $180,000 worth of reimbursements they'll give us now, and we'll continue to look for ways to stabilize this program. And then I'll talk a little more at the end about how we're looking to change the financing of the program altogether.
We need a motion, item 10.
Motion to accept the financial comparatives for the period ending April 30th, 2020, and put on file.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. The motion is to accept the financial comparatives for the period ending April 30, 2020, and put on file. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Motion carries. Unanimous. Item 11. Award of contract, replacement of gate and chain link fencing at Kennedy Drive, project 667-2. Exhibit H in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
I'm going to have Mr. DeChristopher speak on this, but I just want to make one comment before he does. It's nice to see something start up and go again. We're going to have another project, but for 3 months, everything is shut down, and nice to see at least a little construction getting going. Mr. DeChristopher? Good afternoon, everyone. Please find the attached bid sheet for the new fencing and gates in the dumpster areas for Kennedy Drive. This work must be completed within 30 days from the award of the contract. On May 6, 2020, the Brockton Housing Authority advertised for this project. A total of 4 firms picked up the bid packages. On June 4th, 2020, the submission deadline, we received 4 bids as reflected in the bid tally. The responsive bidder was GA Fence Company of 75 Locust Street in Sonnet, Mass. The recommended action would motion to award the contract in the amount of $20,382 to GA Fence Company of Sonnet, Mass for the fencing and gate installation at Kennedy Drive.
We need a motion. Item 11.
I make a motion to award a contract in the amount of $20,382 to GA Fence Company Incorporated of Sonnet, Mass for fencing and gate installation at Kennedy Drive, project 667-2.
Yep. Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Janet Trask, seconded by Commissioner Carol Roberts. The motion is to award a contract in the amount of $20,382, which I might add is the low bid, to GA Fence Company Incorporated of Sonnet, Mass for fencing and gate installation at Kennedy Drive, project 667-2. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
and Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Motion carries unanimous. Item 12. Award of contract, exterior work, comprehensive modernization, Caffrey Towers, project 24-7, Exhibit I in your packets. Mr. Tebow.
If I could make one comment on this. So due to the COVID emergency, most capital jobs have been shut down and they've just lied dormant. Mr. Barry saw the opportunity here to say, look, we can do all the exterior work. So we separated, made it 2 jobs. So he was really pushing forward. And that's a lot of work for him. He could have just put it to the side and said, let's see what happens when we can open up and do construction. So I just want to give him his due on that. It might have been because Commissioner Roberts was breathing over his shoulder, but I don't know.
No.
Who brings it up every month at the RAB meeting? Why are the windows leaking? So we'll witness a solution to that. If I could turn it over to Mr. Barry.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, again, back on the 27th of May, we solicited responses from Prime Waterproof Contractors for the Caffrey Towers Phase 3C, which is the exterior repairs. Then on June 11, 2020, on public bid online was held. Four bids were received, ranging from the $2,059,000 to $3,717,000. The authority's initial estimate was at $1.52 million. But after hearing concerns regarding the COVID and the work on site, in conversation with the architects, we had put out an addendum to increase in the estimated quantities of repairs. And at that time, we revised our budget to $2,014,000. Chapman Waterproof Company, the apparent low bidder, bid came in at $2,059,000, which was deemed to be responsive and responsible after all reference checks. We would recommend a motion to award a contract to Chapman Waterproofing Company of 620 South Street, Unit E, Holbrook, Mass, for the 24-7 Caffrey Towers Phase 3C exterior repairs in the amount of $2,059,000.
We need a motion, item 12.
Yep. Motion to award a contract in the amount of $2,059,000 to Chapman Waterproofing Company of Holbrook, Massachusetts for the comprehensive modernization Phase 3C exterior repairs at Caffrey Towers, Project 24-7.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. The motion is to award a contract in the amount of $2,059,000, a low bid, to Chapman Waterproofing Company of Holbrook, Mass. For the comprehensive modernization Phase 3C exterior repairs at Caffrey Towers, Project 24-7. Any questions on the motion? I had one, Chris.
Yep.
Do you have a start date when they're gonna start this?
3 weeks ago.
Oh, they already started.
No, we want to go, they want actually the day after the bid opening, they were already making contact to us, so we will be starting up immediately, as soon as if we get approved here. So
Okay,
we have a few projects going on right now, and this is gonna be one of the bigger ones, so.
any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
and Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Item 13, election of officers for 2020, Exhibit J in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
Well, each year in June, usually at our annual meeting, we have the election of officers. It's called for in your bylaws, not the specific month, but at the annual meeting. So it would be appropriate for the board to make the officers for the 2020-21 year official.
Okay.
We need a motion from somebody.
Motion to elect the following slate of the office for 2020.
And a second.
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 A motion has been made by Commissioner David Texera, seconded by Commissioner Carol Roberts. The motion is to elect the following slate of officers for 2020. Chairman, Timothy Sullivan. Vice Chairman, Ernest Pettiford. Treasurer, David Texera. Assistant Treasurer, Carol Roberts. Member, Janet Trask. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries unanimous. Item 14. Executive Officers Report, Exhibit K in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
So I do need to take a little time on this because it's quite a bit happening. I first want to thank the board members for what you've done in the past, the support you provided, and hopefully the support you'll provide in the future. There's some big things that are hopefully going to be happening at the Housing Authority, that will be happening at the Housing Authority. And so we need some really broad thinking and looking to where we want to be in 2025, 2030, and beyond. As far as our operations go, we are opening up along with the state directives. We're not seeing people in person right now, but we are conducting our business. Obviously, the asset managers are out in the buildings, and they're not just in their office, they do come in contact with people. But for the most part, we're not seeing people face to face. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, I meet with representatives from each department via a conference call. And we talk about opening up. Simple things like we've installed toilets that don't need to be touched, self-flushing toilets, going to be doing no-touch faucets in the public bathrooms. We're doing some modifications in the office so that we can practice the the social distancing. And we're trying to get back. In fact, yesterday at Sullivan Towers, a call went out to all the residents. And if this works, we'll be doing it at all the high rises. We're going to do some contests, door decorating contests, and we have some prizes, and so we're trying to engage some people on that. We are working, Chris and her department, along with Tenants Collection and Trimita, are tenanting people, leasing up vouchers. It's slower than usual. In the next week and a half, we're going to start tenanting the high rises again, and we have a protocol for that. So we are trying to get back to normal as quickly, as safely as possible, and with the state guidance. Again, I want to point out that we have Frank Tynes has retired. Peggy Pauling is retired. A number of people are going to be retiring. We are going to be we're going to be a different type of organization. So we're going through an organizational review on July 13th. Proposals are due from consultants to take a look at how we are organized, where we're efficient, what kind of capacities we have, what kind of capacities we don't have. That'll be important. They'll want to talk to the board members about your vision of the future. And that, again, this is a very important time. I'd liken it to when we changed in 1996. We've done a couple other smaller reorganizations, but in 1996, we made a huge change in the way we do business to look for the next 20 years. Well, that was 24 years ago. So we're moving ahead on that. The state budget I spoke to you about, we'll continue to work with that. We went through this under Richard Sergi back when we had Roosevelt Heights and problems there. And the Department of Housing and Community Development's response was rather combative at that time. That's not what's happening now. They're very supportive of what we want to do. Obviously, they are going through the same budget constraints that everybody in the country is going through. Just real quick on rent collections. I'm worried about rent collections. I know that we have a couple landlords on the board. If a person doesn't pay us rent, eventually we do not have the choice. We have to go to court. And there are some people who aren't paying rent now because there's a moratorium on evictions. We're calling them, saying that to them, we recommend that you pay. If you can't pay, please make arrangements with us. I'm worried that this time next year, there could be a number of evictions due to people getting so far behind because they thought that they didn't have to pay rent. But we are working on that. Mr. Pacious is working with FEMA. We did have a call on that. We're looking to get some reimbursement to, again, supplement our state budget from FEMA. Very, very bureaucratic, Mr. Pacious, would you say? But we'll get through that. Maintenance office renovations are going along. That's where we're going to be putting a reception window in there, and we're going to be expanding the office a little bit. That should make us a lot more friendly to the public. Right now, you go there's a locked door, and they have to ring a buzzer, and so it'll be much more friendly to the public. And then one of the potential biggest things that could be happening, it's called repositioning. That's a HUD term. And what it means is finding alternative ways to finance your public housing. And we had a long meeting this morning with a engineer architect and the Cambridge Housing Authority. We're going to be conducting a physical needs analysis starting next week at the Campello High Rise. Our goal is so the physical needs analysis will find everything that we need to do at the Campello High Rise. We then apply to HUD to dispose of that property. And what that is, so it's called demolition or disposition. They sell it to us. Then they put tenant preservation vouchers there. So it's 400 people who get vouchers at the Campello High Rise. That increases our income by about 30%. And that will continue over and over and over. That will we'll take that money, we'll then do all the renovations at Campello that needs to be done, which is probably $30 million. That's a guess, maybe higher, $60 million, Chris. It's going to be huge, huge. the stuff we need to do there. So we'll have a very nice asset and a cash flow that will pay for it. If that works out well, we may be able to take the authorization for those federal units that will no longer be there and bring them to our state program and make, I'm going to use, for example, Kennedy Drive would be a federal program. To do that, the state would have to bring Kennedy Drive up to the, they would have to fix it so that the feds would accept it. They'd have to bring it up to code. They did that at the Bel Air high rise. All the state had to pay for all the new windows and doors there. They had to pay for a number of other things, but then they turn it over. They never have to pay for it again. They never pay any subsidy. The federal government does, and the federal government subsidies at a much higher level. So hopefully it would bring our state portfolio capital needs current so that everything would be in good condition, and then give us a cash flow that would be able to take care of it for the foreseeable future. So when I say there's some big things that are going on, this is a huge opportunity, a huge challenge for the Housing Authority. The board will have to be involved in it. We've mentioned it to our residents. We'll be talking more and more to our residents about it. It's in their behalf. Nobody becomes homeless. If they qualify for public housing, they qualify for Section 8. The paperwork they'd be asked would be the same. They would not know the difference, other than they would see a lot of capital work being done at their properties. So as I said, we had a long meeting. I was very impressed with the firm. I was very impressed with the knowledge of the Cambridge Housing Authority, who's done this to their entire portfolio. So we're looking to move forward, and I think it's if I would love to be able to leave the Housing Authority and look at Kennedy Drive and say, I would like to live there. I can't say that right now. Yeah, we need to get it there. We need to get it there. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions on the executive director's report? I had one, Tom. It's not a question, but a comment. On the part where you're using DocuSign, I had brought it up a couple of years ago that when the federal government comes out with their Social Security forms, how much money these people make, they have to go get a copy of it, pick it up, bring it down to housing, sit and wait, and finally get it. I'm wondering if that can be done on the same line as just hook up to the federal Social Security and get the form.
So I can answer. When I first started at the Housing Authority in 1990, I was in tenant selection, and one of the things I had to do was request those things, and I did every. So when we came to the Campbell High Rise, I would send over these punch cards, and I would get all the reports back, and then Social Security stopped that. I don't know. They said they did not want to do it anymore. That they had to send it directly to the resident. We fought that for a while, and at one time they wouldn't let our residents walk into the office and get their printout, at which time we threatened to take legal action against them because our residents certainly were being treated differently because they were public housing. I will look into that, but we will take, maybe Chris would know this better than I would. Chris, do we take, so if they have something from January and it's July, do we take that on Social Security? You're on mute, Chris.
Yes, we will take that. And also, they can go online and print one out. They can snapshot it and forward it to us. And then also, we can check it on EIV to make sure that the numbers are accurate.
So there are a couple of ways we can make it easier, Mr. Chairman, but the Social Security Department, or whatever department that is, I don't think they call them that, but they have made it more difficult for our residents. What you said at the very beginning is how it was done when I started, and 30 years later, it seems to be more difficult.
Yeah. Tom?
Yes, Carol.
Also, If they don't have a computer to go online, what I do for a lot of the tenants here is that you call directly and just put in the information over the telephone, and it's mailed to you. And then you usually get 2 copies of it when they send it out. So it's not that hard. Some choose to go to the Social Security office, but it can be done over the telephone and through the computer. The only thing with the computer, you have to set up an account. So all your information is there. But I do it for the tenants in here who have telephones, and I just put all their information in and they get it.
Tom, I was just talking about this DocuSign. I'm guessing it was because of COVID-19. It was on those same lines with somebody could just present a document rather than actual physically go get it and bring it in. That's all.
Sure. No, so we are trying to, and more and more people have the ability to. In fact, Mr. Chairman, you sent me something earlier. You took a picture of it and sent it to me, a document. Most people now, I shouldn't say most, but we're seeing that a lot of people have that capacity, and they're sending us stuff that way, and that's working.
Oh, thank you.
So the DocuSign is us. We send out forms, and they can just click and sign it and send it right back.
Yeah.
And so that's making things a lot easier also. But we'll continue to look for ways. I mean, one of the things that hopefully will come out of this pandemic here is easier ways for things to get done without people running all over the city or running all over to get that stuff done.
Yep.
That's it.
Any other questions? Item 14, Executive Director's Report. We need a motion then, item 14.
Okay. Motion to accept the Executive Director's Report for June 25th, 2020 and put on file.
Second.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner David Texera. Motion is to accept the Executive Director's Report for June 25th, 2020 and put on file. Any other questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask. Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
and Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Motion carries unanimous. I had one question, Tom, under, normally we have new business and old business, but I haven't got it on this. But I'm just gonna ask if there's any old business anybody has?
Mr. Chairman, it is on the agenda. Old business, new business, and adjournment are on your agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see it now. Item 15, old business. Any old business? Hearing none. Item 16, new business.
If I could make a comment on the new business, it's just more point of information. We usually do not meet in July and August. I do not have anything pressing at this time. But if some things come up, I will contact the chairman and try to schedule a meeting for that. I spoke to Mr. Barry, who usually has things coming up because it's construction season. But he says he doesn't really have a lot done now because we still can't go into the buildings. But just to give the board the information that we usually don't meet. And if we don't, I hope to be out and see you someplace. I'd love to be able to buy a cup of coffee or a beer. So that's, I just.
I'll take you up on the beer pound.
All right.
Tom, is that official now? There will be no meeting in July and August?
Yes, according to your bylaws, if you take the summer off, and then if we have it, it's a special meeting.
And the one, anything on the annual meeting?
Not,
Yeah,
not,
we
a-
figured
as of yet.
anything.
Right now, the maximum you can get together is 10 people. So the numbers are all going in the right direction. I'm praying that that continues. And again, that we can get together, but we'll see how the baseball does, right? Baseball and football and we'll see.
I just want to say congratulations to the new officers of the board. And we need a motion, item 17. From anybody.
Make a
Make a
motion.
motion, Barry.
You want to second that,
Motion.
David?
Second.
A motion to adjourn has been made by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford, seconded by Commissioner David Texera. Any questions on the motion? Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Congratulations, Chris Lane Bonnie, too.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Take care. Have a good
Yep.
summer.
Have a good summer, everyone.
Yeah.